Are you new to Copilot Studio? Curious about what type of conversational AI experiences can be built with it? In this video, I'm diving into two solutions built using Copilot Studio. The first is a chatbot built using natural language understanding and capabilities like entities, topics, and cloud flows. The second is a custom Copilot built with the latest generative AI capabilities incorporated into Copilot Studio, like knowledge sources, AI prompts, and AI plugins. If you are excited to see these capabilities in action, keep watching. Awesome! Now let's dive into the first demo. For this demo, I'm going to choose a fictitious company that sells trainings and workshops to customers across various industries. I have created this chatbot that will help sellers get access to the most relevant information and data that they need, and it's available across various platforms, portals, and systems. So to start, you see that this chatbot is providing me a welcome message. And in this welcome message, it's also providing me a set of options that I can choose from. Since I am a new seller, I'm going to click Hi, I am a new seller. And the chatbot immediately provides me additional options, like, for example, what are key tools for sellers or what different course categories exist. So I can click on the first option and it will bring me a list of relevant portals, dashboards, or other relevant resources. Now let's try a different option. What different course categories exist? Similar to the previous case, it's showing me a list of course categories, and if I want to get more details, I can click on one of them, for example, AI and RPA. And it provides me details for this particular course category, as well as a link to the go-to-market presentation. Awesome. Now let's try something different. For example, I want to know what are the sales specialists or sales experts in the Americas region. So once I click that option, the chatbot asks me about the particular region I'm interested in this case is Americas. And it provides me a list of sales experts from the Americas region. The chatbot is getting this information from the CRM system. Now, let's say I'm interested to know more about this particular sales expert. So I click on it. And the chatbot is going to bring me additional details like the role, the area of expertise, the country, email, and more. I can even contact that particular sales specialist through chat, email, or even schedule a meeting. Awesome. I want to see what other options do I have, so I'm going to write again new seller because that's a keyword that I can use to again get a list of options. So now this time I'm going to click on show me the list of courses. In this case, it's asking me about a particular topic I'm interested in. So I'm going to write Azure. And now it brings me the list of courses. Let's say I'm interested to know more about the Azure Security Fundamentals course. So I click on it and it brings me relevant information from this particular course. Now let's say I want to know more about the accounts that we have. So in this case, I'm going to select that option. I'm going to select that I'm interested in the accounts from the Americas region. And it shows me, similar to the previous scenario, the company name, logo, website, and even country. So let's say I'm interested to know more about this particular customer. I click on it. I get additional details, but not only that, I can also list the opportunities associated to this particular customer. I can contact the seller directly if I want to know more, or I can even register a new opportunity. So of course, this depends on the permissions that this particular seller has, right? So I can click on list opportunities, and I'm gonna see the list of opportunities associated to this particular customer. And I can even click on one of them to get more details. Something interesting here is that I have the details for this opportunity, but I can also get access, for example, to more account details or even update the sales stage for this particular opportunity. So I know that it is in the investigation sales stage, but I want to change the stage to a different one. So I have different options I can choose. In this case, I think this opportunity is on the proposal made stage. So I click on it, and the system is going to automatically send that update to the CRM and send me a notification that the change has been made. But now I want to register a new opportunity. So I'm going to write register a new opportunity. And it's going to ask me about the account ID. Since I already know that, because I previously get that information, I'm just going to copy this account ID. And now the chatbot provides me a form where I can specify the information. You can also notice that the chatbot has identified the account name based on the account ID. In this case, I'm going to write, for example, Power Platform Adoption Workshop. I'm going to provide a description. Let's say this is a Power Platform Workshop for citizen developers. The opportunity size is, let's say, 20,500. I'm going to put a estimated close date, fiscal year, quarter, and let's say this is a new opportunity, so it's in the prospecting stage. So I'm going to click on it, and the system is going to automatically register that information. Perfect. This is great. We have seen an example of a chatbot built with Copilot Studio and using only natural language understanding capabilities. This was a good experience. However, this has many different challenges. For example, let's go back to the demo and let me show you additional questions I can ask to the chatbot. Let's say this time I want to ask something like, what are the key selling points for web development courses? What you will see is that the chatbot has tried to find a topic that is available to answer this question. Unfortunately, none of these options will answer my question. What happens if I ask another question like, show me customer evidence? It's going to try to do the same. It's going to try to find different topics or conversational flows that I can use to answer that question. However, again, none of these is an option that will help me with the responded answer. And it's asking me again to try to rephrase this question. Now, why is this happening? This is because to build this experience, I have used topics. The topics basically provide you the conversational flow or the step-by-step experience that the user is going to have. So let me show you a little bit about it. This is a chatbot that I have built. And specifically, if we go to the topics section, you will see that I have built several different topics. I'm going to choose one of them, for example, list accounts by region. As you can see here, this topic includes trigger phrases that are going to be used to identify the intent of the end user, as well as different questions and steps. Like, for example, in this particular case, I'm connecting to a connector to a system to get the information that I need, and I'm providing a response through an adaptive card. Let me show you a more simple topic. In this case, for key tools for sellers, I created a simple topic like this that again is identifying the trigger phrases, and then using a custom adaptive card is just providing a list of information. So the problem with this approach is that I will need to develop hundreds of topics to be able to cover all the multiple scenarios possible. However, now with the use of Copilot Studio with generative AI capabilities, we don't need to depend on topics anymore. Okay, now let's explore this custom Copilot built using generative AI capabilities. This is providing me a welcome message similar to the previous chatbot, but in this case I'm gonna start asking some questions. For example, what are the existing course categories we sell? What this Copilot is gonna do is going to look into the information that is available on different documentation or different internal portals, and it's gonna generate an answer for me. As you can see here, for example, we see that this is a response generated by AI. It's generating this information, and even if I see the link here, this is pointing to a particular document, which is a seller guidance document. This document is actually stored in a document library in the sales portal on SharePoint. So if I open this document, you will see that it includes different information for sellers, including a different course categories. It provides an overview of each category, key selling points, target audience, and more relevant information I can explore. So based on that, I'm gonna start asking some additional questions, and Copilot is going to automatically generate the answers for me. What happens if I add a more specific question, like, for example, what are the key selling points for web development courses? Now, again, it's exploring the information available on that seller guidance document, and it's extracting the relevant information related to my particular question. In order to achieve this type of experience with a traditional chatbot, I will have to build multiple topics. Now, let's try some additional questions, like, for example, show me customer evidence. This is a question that we asked to the previous bot, and that bot was not possible to provide an answer. However, in this case, this Copilot is now identifying the intent and asking me additional questions. For example, I'm interested to know about data analytics and BI customer evidence or customer stories. And this will get an answer for me. Actually, have identified more than one customer story, like 3 different customer stories, including details like the company, the industry, the audience, description, and even benefits, right? What we notice here is that this is not getting information from the seller guidance, but instead it's getting information from the SharePoint portal, where we have different SharePoint pages that has the information about this particular scenario for data analytics and BI. This is awesome. Now, until this point, we have obtained information from sources like documents stored on SharePoint document libraries or SharePoint pages. But what happens if I ask questions for information available on CRM systems or my sales management system? So we will try to do that. So in this case, I'm gonna ask a question like, show me details about account NextGen. This is because I already know the name of the account, so I don't need to specify the account ID. And this is going to use plugin actions, which is basically a capability on Copilot Studio to get access to information on my systems and automatically generate an answer for me. But I have combined this capability with adaptive cards. So instead of creating a generative response, I'm creating a response like this. This is telling me that I have more than one account with the same name. So I'm going to choose the account that I'm interested in. This again is gonna provide a detailed adaptive card similar to the previous experience with the chatbot. So I'm gonna click on list opportunities. Again, it's gonna bring me the list of opportunities. But so basically I have reused the same capability that I use in my chatbot, but I'm combining this with plugin actions and with generative AI. So let me show you the following. In this case, the Copilot is basically providing me an option to recommend next steps for opportunity. As you can see, it's automatically identifying the opportunity, which is opportunity 1002. So I'm gonna click on it, and it's gonna use generative AI to basically get access to the information, the history of activities that has been executed for this particular opportunity. So basically it's going to generate a summary of those activities, and based on that, it's gonna provide some recommendations. And you can see the results. As I told you before, this has been generated by AI. It has a summary of the different activities I already did. This is available on my Dataverse table. And these are the recommended next steps based on the sales management guidance. Now, Let me show you a different way to do that. For example, I can get details for account. Let's say I already know the idea of this account. So you can use different approaches. You can use adaptive cards to have a more customized experience where you have the control of how you would like to show the information, or you can also use generative AI. In this particular case, with this particular flow, I have generated, instead of an adaptive card, I have generated an automated response that provides the same type of information but in a different way. So these are options that you can provide. As you can see, I have customized the look and feel of this response, so I can even have the possibility to provide feedback about this response. Now let me try to do something different. In this case, for example, I'm gonna ask, show me courses related to Azure. This is a similar question that we did before with the previous chatbot. This is going to recognize that I am asking about courses related to Azure, and it's going to bring me a list of courses similar to the previous case. But instead of clicking on one of these options, let's say I want to ask more specific questions. So I'm interested about this particular course, Azure Kubernetes Service. Okay, so I'm going to ask questions like, for example, get a summary of course COU 1006, which is the Azure Kubernetes course. I also can use the name of the course, but to avoid any confusion, since there are many courses that have similar names, I'm just going to directly specify the course ID. And again, it's going to use generative AI to generate that response. We can also see in the description that in this case, it's using information from the CRM system and it's providing me details like the course name, category, and description. But if I want to ask a more specific question like what is the price of the course, again, it's going to use generative AI to generate that response for me. Perfect, it generated that response. That couldn't be possible with a traditional chatbot using just natural language understanding and topics, because in that case I will need to have several topics to address many different questions. Okay, now let's continue with some additional examples. In this case, now I already have captured information or returned information from SharePoint, from documents for different systems. In this case, information is stored in Dataverse tables, so I'm getting that information from there. But I'm gonna ask another question like, what is Azure Kubernetes Service? And as you can see, we get a response, but this time we have a different logo and we have a different explanation. This response has been gotten from the web, specifically from Microsoft Learn and Microsoft.com. So what we see here is that we can have different type of knowledge sources to automatically generate these responses, and we are not limited on that. Now, let me show you a final example. In this case, we are going to use a capability known as AI prompts in Copilot Studio that will bring me results or highly customized results generated by using generative AI capabilities. So in this case, I'm going to ask for a more complex question, like, for example, compare courses, and I'm going to specify the ID of the first course and the ID of the second course I want to include in that comparison. And this has generated the following response for me. It has generated a comparison table for each of the courses that I want to analyze, including the description, modality, level, price, all the information relevant to me. Not only that, it also includes the main differences between these two courses and some guidance on when to use what. So this is the level of customization that we can achieve by using generative AI capabilities on Copilot Studio. Now, let me show you a little bit about how did I build this experience. So I'm going to go to Copilot Studio. And in this case, instead of topics, I'm going to go to the knowledge tab. In the knowledge tab, you will see that I have different knowledge sources. In this case, I have added a couple of SharePoint sites. One of these SharePoint sites contains the seller guidance, the Word document that we reviewed before, as well as some content in SharePoint pages, as well as my TechSphere Academy portal that has information about the events and webinars. You can also see that I have added 3 websites. This is the information that I use to get generative response related to specific Microsoft products. Also, if we go to the actions section, you will see that I'm using different actions that basically, in this case, are using in the backend Power Automate to connect to my existing systems. So for example, if I go to get course details, you will see that I have information like, for example, the description of this action the inputs of information and the outputs, including details of each of the fields that I'm getting from the Dataverse table. Those are some of the main features that I use to build this experience. Also, if we go to topics where we have more control about the type of answers that we want, if for example I want, let's say, to get seller guidance, I have created this topic that basically is using the following capability, the generative answer. And the generative answer basically helps me to create those answers based on information of one of the knowledge sources that I uploaded before. In this particular case, it's generating answers only from this particular portal. So I have the flexibility to create these topics and select which type of knowledge I'm going to use for an answer. And I can also specify details like, for example, how do I want the response to be presented to the user? In this case, like, for example, using bullet points or highlighting the most relevant content in bold. Finally, I'm going to show you an additional very interesting capability, which is the use of AI prompts. For example, we have two AI prompts that we have used on our demo. I'm going to show you one of them, recommend next steps. If I click on there, on it, you will see that I have created this prompt that is getting information from one of my tables, which is basically my sales opportunity history table in Dataverse, and also has an input, which is basically the opportunity name. So based on that, I specify the prompts and the conditions and recommendations, and I can even test this prompt to see the type of response I want to generate for my users. So you can see here that I got the details of the history summary and the recommended next steps. I have tested this prompt before, and now that I have that particular prompt, I can just go to Copilot Studio and you will see that I have created a particular topic, and I'm just basically using this prompt as an action to generate the outputs. So in this video, you have seen a couple of examples of solutions that you can build with Copilot Studio, either using natural language understanding or the latest generative AI capabilities. If you want to know more about how did I build these experiences, please let me know in the comments. I hope this video was informative for you. Thank you.